Many thanks for choosing us. I'm Ernest Minu. The details now. Documents from the Finance Ministry to the ad hoc committee considering claims against the Finance Minister in the minority censure motion reveal government has spent close to 450 million Ghana cedis on the construction of the National Cathedral. That is a total of monies released for the building itself and payments to the architect. John Hughes has secured a copy of the document. My colleague and editor, Araba Kumsin, joins me in the studio with details. But first, let me bring you the letter written to the Finance Minister from the ad hoc committee. And that letter says the proceedings of the committee on Friday, 18 November 2022 refers. And it goes on to say the committee wishes to bring to the attention of the Honourable Minister that at the sitting of the committee on the above-mentioned date, the Honourable Minister agreed to furnish the committee with the following information. 1. The total amount spent by Government of Ghana on the National Cathedral to date, the amount paid to the consultant firm and the architect, specifically Messrs. Sir David Ajayi and Associates, in relation to the National Cathedral project. Clarification on the total energy sector payment to IPPs, the amount of 937 million contained in the official report of 4 June 2021, and the figure of 17 billion contained in the Minister's response to the grounds from the proponents of the motion. The total debt accumulated prior to the year 2020. And that is signed by Mr. Puamang, who is clerk to the committee. And so John Hughes has secured details of the Finance Ministry's response to the committee as far as these issues are concerned. But I want to highlight the National Cathedral because that played up very strongly at the committee with Okujeto Ablakwa and Zanetta Rollins leading in the questioning. Araba Kumsin, kindly give us details of how much you are learning now government has spent so far as far as the cathedral is concerned.
Per the Finance Ministry's letter, it reads, with respect to the total amount expended on the National Cathedral, the National or the Cathedral Secretariat can provide the details of payments made. So total releases made by this ministry, that is the Finance Ministry, as of 31st March 2022, March this year, stands at 339 million and 3,064 Ghana cedis, 86 pesos. Let me read that again. 339 million and 3,064 Ghana cedis, 86 Ghana pesos. So that's shy of 400,000 Ghana cedis.
So that is for the building itself.
Right.
Then it goes on to give the details on how much has been advanced to Sir David Ajayi and Associates.
Right. So it says with regards to the amount paid to the consulting firm Messrs. Sir David Ajayi and Associates in relation to the cathedral project, releases made by the ministry is in the total amount of 113 million and 40,564 Ghana cedis, 86 Ghana pesos.
Right.
That is 113 million and 40,564 Ghana cedis, 86 Ghana pesos, and it proceeds to provide a breakdown of the amount in a table provided.
Right. So the total of that is what gives you close to 450 million Ghana cedis. So if you're joining us tonight and wondering how much government has spent so far on the National Cathedral, the amount you're learning today from the Finance Ministry is nearly 450 million Ghana cedis for the project. That's how much government has put into the project. But let's look at the response they also gave to the issue of they needed some clarity on the debts to the IPPs. Indeed,
the Finance Ministry letter states the ministry would like to clarify the total energy sector payment to IPPs at the amount of $937 million contained in the official report of the 4th June 2021 or 17 June according to the Hansard, and the figure of $17 billion contained in the minister's response to the grounds from the proponents of the motion as follows. The Ministry of Finance paid a total amount of 17.31 billion over the period 2017 to 2020 to IPPs and fuel suppliers as shortfall in capacity power payments and excess capacity. The following 6 IPPs received the said payments, namely AXA, Car Power, Sen Power, Ameri Energy, Sunon Asogli, and Amandi Energy. Now, it proceeds to say that out of the 17.31 billion paid, Ghana cedis paid, an amount of 10.01 billion cedis was paid to power producers in relation to shortfall in capacity payments and excess capacity, with the remaining amount of 7.31 billion cedis being payments to fuel suppliers, that's gas suppliers and LCO and HFO suppliers for the period.
Arba, thank you very much indeed for bringing us those details. But let's stay in Parliament, because the minority says tomorrow's budget will exacerbate the sufferings of Ghanaians as the alleged government intends to introduce a litany of taxes. Speaking to journalists, member of the Finance Committee, Thomas Ampemnyako, claimed that government will increase the VAT rate to 20% from the current 17.5%. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante looks ahead to tomorrow's budget presentation in the following report.
In Parliament had been hoping they would get the support of their NPP colleagues to remove Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta through a vote of censure. It appears they will not get that now after the NPP MPs beat a retreat and decided to allow the embattled Ken Ofori-Atta read the budget. Leader of the minority say they feel betrayed.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will go down in history under the Fourth Republic as the president who most disrespected public opinion. Because as far as we are concerned, public opinion is not supportive and favorable to the continuous stay in office of his failing beleaguered late Dark Minister for Finance, the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. We feel let down and we feel betrayed by the majority caucus, who have shown no wit in supporting us with our impeachment process within the letter and spirit of Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution. It is a step on oversight and parliamentary oversight, and it only weakens Parliament in exercising its oversight in calling ministers to order.
But ahead of the budget tomorrow, Ghanaians should brace for more hardship.
The information we are picking up doesn't look good for our dear country. The budget that is due to be read tomorrow promises to be a budget full of taxes. In fact, what we are hearing is that this government intends to increase VAT by 2.5%. They intend to increase income taxes, and they intend to remove a lot of exemptions on Momo. So even merchants are going to be subjected to Momo taxes. We have known this government to be insensitive, but we never knew that their level of insensitivity will be this high.
Meanwhile, NPP MP for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Boama, says he expects Ken Ofori-Atta to present a budget of hope.
That's all Ghanaians expect.
The minority say they will not support this new raft of taxes that the alleged government is introducing tomorrow, particularly the 2.5% VAT increase. This will move VAT from the current 17.5% to 20%. All these new taxes will be rejected, just like they did the ELV last year, which was eventually passed. But the House is expected to be tested tomorrow when Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta presents the 2023 budget. Despite getting the 98 NPP MPs to back down on their demand not to have him present the budget, the minority are poised to give him a hard time tomorrow in the House. For Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
And the new Patriotic Party caucus in Parliament has been urged by the party's executive to stand down their demand for the removal of the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, till after the presentation of the budget and after it has been appropriated. Now, this follows a meeting with the caucus on November 22 to find an amicable solution to the impasse in the NPP parliamentary group. Some 98 NPP MPs have been demanding the immediate removal of the finance minister, accusing him of economic mismanagement. But with a changing stance of some majority members, Will they listen to the party or stick to their own convictions?
Had occasions to defend allegations of conflict of interest, lack of confidence, trust against the leadership of our finance ministry. The recent developments within our economy are of great concern to the greater majority of members of our caucus and our constituents. We have made our grave concern to the President through the parliamentary leadership and the leadership of the party without any positive response. We are by this medium communicating our strong desire that the President change the Minister of Finance and the Minister of State in the Finance Ministry without further delay in order to restore hope into the financial sector and reverse the downward trend in the growth of the economy. Meanwhile, we want to serve notice, and notice hereby served, that until such persons as aforementioned are made to resign or removed from office, we, members of the majority caucus here in Parliament, will not participate in any business of government by or for the President by any other minister.
However much that you heard us speaking the last 2 weeks, that based upon the intervention of the President, we would have to see the Minister of Finance do his work, read budget, see through appropriation, and then the President will act. Over a few days, we've had the Finance Minister speaking, and his speaking is informed majority of us in the caucus. Not only to state that we are back to the original position that we took, and that original position is to say that the Minister of Finance will not be the one who must read the budget and must not be the one who will do the appropriation. We are here this morning to say that this is going to be very soon for you to see the position of us, and we are going to be positively defiant on that posture until that action is taken. However, we are not going to support the cause of the NDC in the chamber this morning. The cause of the NDC is premised on falsehood, propaganda, and reasons that are not justifiable. Their position might look like ours, but it's not the same. You will not be able to come to the chamber to level 10 issues that borders on criminality over a person who is not there to defend himself.
And since then, we've seen a number of U-turns and also developments from the party. Last night, we were at the Alisa Hotel where the party met the MPs at the instance of the president. We learned from a source. Head of our political desk, Evans Mensah, joins me in the studio with some analysis on this. Evans, it appears that the finance minister will read the budget. Not just that, it appears he will get the audience of the minority, including the majority, I should say, including the 98 MPs. What signals does this send, and if you want, the implications for the MPs and the party?
I mean, as for the NPP MPs, they significantly have lost credibility, possibly in the eyes, definitely in the eyes of their constituents, and then in the eyes of the general public, because this is the third U-turn they've done on this very matter. I mean, the first time when they held the press conference, that it was an unprecedented move. Yeah. It also, because it's so unprecedented, that their U-turn becomes even more pronounced because of the momentum he gathered and the general applause he received from right-thinking members of society, civil society, everybody else, for an incumbent party MPs to stand up against their president and say, sack up somebody. And then they met the president. They come back with a U-turn. That was the first one. Yeah. And then we had Kenneth Friata say, well, that he is intending to be in charge until the economic crisis is over. That triggered another U-turn, which is we've gone back to our original position. Right. And then
the meeting
yesterday, they've made another U-turn. When you flip-flop like they've done, the only thing that leaves you with a tattered reputation when it comes to credibility. And that's what they've suffered. Politically, it will cost some of them going forward. Also because, that is, if they stick with what they've done. And remember, although the statement has been issued and signed by Anodom Pre, who is the majority whip, and the party's general secretary, there's still a vote of censure that's going to happen post the budget tomorrow, likely on a Friday, right? And that's going to be by a secret ballot. Possibly, some of them can still vote with the majority side because it's in secret. And tonight, the minority side are invoking memories of the election of the speaker, where we know that the current speaker, Bambabe, nobody gave him any chance of winning. Right. But somebody from the majority side voted with them. Now, they are invoking that and saying, possibly that's going to happen tomorrow. So the jury's still out. Whether when it comes to the vote of censure, they will play the party line still, knowing that it's still a secret ballot, or they will vote with the majority. But it's all about strategy. What strategy the majority side adopts in terms of the party's whip on them? Is it to allow them to stay on the floor of chamber while the vote is happening, or ask them to leave the chamber? If the whip system that the party is applying says, leave the chamber, don't participate, which means that any majority member who is found on the floor is assumed to be voting for the motion, which is remove Ken Ofori-Atta. The consequence of that is the party, if the party applies a 3-line whip, the effect of that is if you violate the party's position, the party can expel you from the party. If the party expels you, you would lose your seat. Okay, but then the question is, if the NDC need 48 NPP MPs to vote with them to win, to get Ken Ofori-Atta removed through the vote of censure. The question is, if, let's say 50 of them vote, can the party afford to expel 50 MPs?
But can the party even afford to lose a single member, given the numbers in Parliament, going forward for government business? That in itself,
it depends.
Would be a check on the party.
No, it depends. If the seat is in
it's a safe seat.
It's a safe seat and it's in the Ashanti region, for example, they can and then do a by-election there and they hope that they will win again. But that is the risk the majority members face, and I guess there's a reason. But we haven't heard from the 98 members themselves. We've seen a statement signed by Anodom Pre, who, by the way, was not a member of the 98, and the party's general secretary, right? And so far, the 98 members have been quiet. I think I've heard somebody suggested that the PQB has spoken somewhere else. Right. Publicly, they possibly will say they will go with the party position, but that's what.
But if that is put to a vote, then we do not know how this will pan out. So let's see how this turns out on Friday. Evans, thank you very much.